Good afternoon. Today I'll be talking about effective instruction by Jim Burke and how it relates to my content area, which is math. The first thing he talks about is varying instructional methods and strategies. So, especially with math, this is very important to provide multiple entry points for every subject or lesson. Math is such a foundational subject that if a student has a gap in one area or is absent for a couple of days, they're going to need to be able to come back and you're going to need to provide them a way to join back in a lesson where all the other students are instead of just leaving them behind because they missed a couple of days. Or maybe it could be something like they had a bad day at home the last night and that was still on their mind, and for that reason they weren't fully focused. So providing multiple entry points for each subject and lesson will keep students engaged. This way you don't have the very low students who are just getting bored because they don't know what's going on and getting frustrated. And it will allow many different types of learners to participate in this because everyone has a different way of learning. Some people are more visual, some people are more like to see it, can like think, conceptualize it better, things of that nature. Then he talks about employing a range of instructional modes, so try mixing in technology from time to time when providing additional support. In math, technology can be a very useful tool. There's this website called Desmos, which has a bunch of hands-on activities that I use when I can in my classroom. And it also provides students a break of listening to me talk every day. So it's a different way that they can learn, a different platform, and students have been responding to this very well. Uses a variety of group formats, so be conscious of when you have a group project, what the group size is, and make there a reason for there being that group size. So if it's a large task, it'll be a group of 6, something around that. Some projects work better for pairs. So know the dynamic of the group and what size will work best before you assign it. He also says describe and demonstrate each instructive technique. So if I want students to get to an end goal, I should show them worked examples from the past that other students have done, because that will let them visualize how it should look in student work, and they'll be able to see and reflect that other students in the past have been able to accomplish that. So it's not too far-fetched for them to create a project like that too. It also allows them to see the finish line, which can be very helpful when they're planning on what to do. Providing clear examples and instructions on the task. This is huge, giving your students clarity, because the less structured a task is, the more open-ended it is. And this is when students will feel like they have no clue what they're doing. This is when kids will get off task. This is when the results won't be what you want them to be in the end. Another thing he talks about is incorporating relevant background knowledge. So this kind of relates to Zaretta Hammond, culture responsive teaching in the brain. If students are able to incorporate background knowledge into a situation, they're much more likely to be successful with it, because they can actually visualize it in their head of what it should look like and like relate to the situation, instead of, especially in math, sometimes we can be so abstract with formulas, but if they can relate to it, something in their life, then that'll provide a more concrete foundation for them. We have to teach students how to think, learn, and remember. So we have to be methodical and strategic when teaching students, be powerful when it matters. We have to realize the different closing powerful, starting strong, and realizing the attention spans that are realistic for our students to have in our class. We have to call on different types of intelligence from students. So what I like to do is show, for example, it was a day on percentages, and the kids all had 10 by 10 squares, and this was something very easy. I would tell them to shade in 2/5 of them. So some students would shade in 2 rows of and split it up into 5 different ways. Each student had a little different method, and this was a good opportunity for me to show student learning to the rest of the class and call on and use worked examples from the very low students, and they would get to it kind of raised their like mathematical status in the class. It helped them feel comfortable with what they did, and they were proud about how they did in math that day because I showed their work to the rest of the class. Assessing understanding and using results to improve teaching. So assessing understanding is huge. We need to use formative and summative assessments that can provide us actual feedback instead of just being like, do you guys understand? Yes, because then it's a lot easier for a kid to just say, yeah, I understand, and then you move on to the next thing. It takes a lot more for a kid to raise their hand, be like, no, I did not understand. So what I need to do is take that out of the student's hand and have them give me like exit slips, reflecting on the day, or answering essential questions, or just, it could even be like a fist to five, something like that, where students can be more honest and feel comfortable being honest. Another thing is using the right tools and technology to enhance the lesson. So when I think about using technology in the classroom, it has to provide a benefit that I couldn't on my own. So I think technology should be used to enhance the lesson. I don't think I should just be like, oh, I don't want to teach today, so I'm going to give them a Khan Academy that they can look at. I think technology needs to enhance the lesson and provide something that I couldn't on my own, or supplement in a way that could be beneficial to many other students. When using technology, a lot of us will find this out the hard way, is making sure all the laptops are plugged in, so they're not dying. All the laptops are working. You have working laptops in your class if it's a one-to-one class, things of that nature that you can prevent the issues before they arise. Classroom culture is another huge thing, so creating an environment in which all students can succeed, knowing your IEPs, learning accommodations, right seating charts, knowing the combination of the kids' personalities, sitting kids next to other kids strategically to get the best out of them, and communicating effectively with students, parents, and all of their support networks. This is something that I've actually been diving into recently a lot, is since I was a new teacher that took over, a lot of the parents have been setting up conferences with me to meet, and I'm more than happy to do this because this lets the student know that me, their parent, and them are all on the same team. At the end of the day, we all want the same goal. And for example, if it was one of my students, that we'll call him Diego, let's say like Diego at a conference with his parent, him, and me, at the end of the day, we all know after that conference that we're all on the same team and we want what's the best for Diego, and that's all our end goals. So this has proved to be very effective for me and the student. Curriculum basics, designing lessons around experiences. So instead of just having abstract, like in math, instead of having abstract formulas on the board and just being like, you do this because this is what it is, instead providing like real life examples that kids can relate to, developing fluency between lessons, not being like, okay, we ended this lesson, then we started the next one, it's something different, having them lead into each other and gradually increasing the difficulty by adding new elements. This will allow for some of the independent learners to do exploratory activities and kind of make that jump on their own. And then while they're doing that is when you can pull aside the other students or focus on the lower students who need you to help them as to scaffold them to get there. Organizing instruction could be things such as like note taking, making sure all the kids are making connections through graphic organizers, essential questions, study guides, flow charts, and organizing instruction around big ideas and essential questions. So have students reflect at the end of the day, what was the purpose of doing that? What did we learn? And how does this improve my learning? And that was effective instruction. Thank you for listening.